Hello, this is W1REX and I'm going to build a Limerick night sender key. This is a kit I designed for the 100th anniversary of our local Boy Scout Troop 329 in Limerick, Maine. Had a camporee to honor their 100th anniversary, and I designed this kit for them. We had about 80 or 90 kids build this kit at the camporee. So I'm going to open up this kit and spread the parts out. One of the things I have is I got a soldering iron off camera. I got a brass shavings to clean the tip of the iron. If you just put it in the shavings and clean it, you get a really nice good clean tip, which is very handy. You don't have to have one. This is kind of handy. This is because I do a lot of battery projects, I got a 9-volt battery laying around that's totally dead, which is why it's got a tombstone with RIP on it, and it's got the positive side, which is labeled on the side, labeled so you can't goof up when you're trying to set a thing. I got a little bit of solder. I've got a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of flush cutters, and a small Phillips screwdriver. So we're going to build this kit. One of the things that you need to pay attention to is the LED right here has got a polarity to it. You can put it in, you can get it the right way, or you can get it backwards. Same with this little piezo speaker element. It's got a little cover off the hole on the top. I'll just take that off. And it has a plus sign right there. So you have to make sure that the plus sign goes on the plus sign where the board is. Also, you need to make sure when the battery goes on, see there's a plus and a minus. You've got to make sure the battery's right. So in this case, I got the battery. I got a plus. So I'll put the appropriate connectors on. And there's no possibility of short because this battery is dead. So I can put these on. Even if they accidentally touch each other, nothing's going to happen. It wouldn't really happen on a fully charged battery, but it's just safer. So I got them spaced. I'll put them on the board. I'm going to put all this stuff aside here. I'll put it on the board. And now I know that these things are spaced perfectly for putting the battery in. Now I'm going to take the other brand new battery. I'm going to put it on the board, on the table, and I'll put those together. And what I'm going to do is clean the tip, do a little solder, add a little solder to the iron, and I'm going to solder one of these battery connections. We'll get this a little bit longer. One battery connection on each. Each battery's got 3 pins, so I'll just do one each. Now tip it over and just make sure I like the alignment. That's good. So I'll put it back down and I'll finish doing the batteries. And you wanna give it a good batch of solder on these battery connections, because they do take a little bit of stress putting the batteries in and out. So I'm going to make sure I've got an ample supply of solder on those connections. I'll hit those a little bit more. Inspect your work. Looks nice. And looks nice on the other side. So we've got that. That's good to go. I'm going to build this board left to right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in these little connectors. So we call these header connectors. And they go in. They got little kinks on the bottom of the pin so they stay put. So we'll put those in. Both of those. Do the same thing. I'll put the battery down and so I can support the board, and that way the board's relatively level. Again, clean the tip of the iron. Get some solder and add a little bit to the iron. Just a little puddle. And when I put that puddle on the pin and the pad, that helps the heat go from the iron to what you want to solder, and then once you give it a second to heat up, you feed a little bit more in. You want to be careful not to give it too much. I'm going to A little bit, a dab on there. Too much and you got a big blob and it might go to someplace else. Too little and you don't get a really good solid connection. And one last pin. So I'm looking at those. This thing right here needs a little bit more heat to it. There. So those 6 pins are connected. Put the iron back. Just below it is a resistor, which limits the current in the LED, so the LED doesn't go crazy and burn up. So we'll bend it in the form of a U, just beyond the body of the resistor. We put it in the 2 holes, pull it down to the board, put your finger on it, and then just pull these pins apart like that so it doesn't fall back through. You set it down and hit that with a little solder. When you go to cut things, I have a pair of flush cutters. They are perfectly flat on one side and the cutting angle is only on one side. So what happens when you cut it off, it goes really close to the board, which is why they call it a flush cutter. And when you cut something off, you want to put your finger over it or hold on to it, but that's easy enough to do. Just put your finger over, because if you cut it, it's going to go flying and it might hit somebody in the eye or land in the carpet and you're going to step on it someday. You know, it'll be just like stepping on a thumbtack. So always put your finger over it and hold it in place. So we've got pretty good here. Now we got to put this piezo. Look for the plus sign. Look for the plus sign. Make sure they line up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my needle nose just to, again, bend them over so it doesn't fall out. I didn't have to bend them too much, just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to solder one like that. Okay. Then I'm going to pick the board up. I'm going to hold the part. I'm going to push on it when I resolder it, when I reheat it. Push the part down. So now I know it's nice and snug. Wait for it to cool, and I'm ready to do the other one. So there's that. Again, we'll cut those off. Put my finger over the top so it doesn't go flying. So now we have to build this key section, which happens to be sitting right here. So I'll take my, very carefully, and I'll just snap it off. And there's a circuit underneath that's going to be the key. I get the little short bolt, put it down below, put a nut on it, and I use my little, doesn't have to be gigantically tight, it just has to be not loose. So I'll take the little board with all the lettering up top, put the bolt through it, take 2 washers. I have 3 in there in case one gets lost, or if you might want a sloppy key. In this case we're going to make a pretty decent key. Put that down, hold it on the upside down. I'm holding it with my finger. Put the nut on there, and I'm going to hold it, make that square. I'm holding it with my finger underneath, and I'm just going to tighten that up a little bit. Doesn't do anything because these right here have these little header jumpers are like little switches. So if I turn this one on, this is the power, and that powers both the sounder and the LED. We don't have the LED here. This is the sounder. So I'm going to turn the sounder, and I'm going to make, there's an S and an NS. Sound, no sound. So I'm going to put the header on sound. Oh, I got to take my dead battery off. And put my good battery on. I like to put my fingers behind those when I push it on because I don't want it to do a lot of stressing. So just like that. So there's them sending Morse. Now that's just so I can hear what I'm sending. Now the last thing we got is the LED, and I remember I said that the LED has got polarity to it, and we can test if it's right or wrong by just putting it on the pads and sending some code. That's the wrong way. Turn it around. That's the right way. So you can go all the way down and bend it over at a 90-degree angle, like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bend these around the other way, and that keeps that LED right where it's supposed to be. And then I'll solder those up. I'm only going to solder one. Again, solder one, and then go take a look, and okay, it's nice and straight. I kind of like it. So then I'll go and I'll hit the second one. Now since I'm not contacting it, I can go ahead and solder. I'm not affecting the battery or anything because I'm not pushing the key. So I'll take those and see again, I'm putting my finger on it. And there is the Limerick Night Sender key. That's CQ, which is what an amateur radio person would send on the radio, on the transmitter, if he's actually trying to find someone to talk to over the radio. In the case of SOS, nice little key. And that is the Limerick Night Sender key. Pretty simple build. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.